And our first question will come from Ramona.
How's it going? Hey, you mentioned something. You mentioned something the other day in LA about Paul playing a lot more point guard and having Chauncey mentor him. Can you just describe sort of what that transition's been like for him? And obviously, the last week or so where he's had to carry such a huge load and play so many minutes.
It's been great. I think at the beginning of the season, I think we had the opportunity to, put the ball in PG's hands, to let him make plays and make mistakes all season long, as well as Kawhi. So I think, all season long we've been just trying to get him to the place where he's at now, of making the right play, making the right pass, making the right read. And Chauncey's been great for him all season. Just showing him those things on film, showing him on the court, what he's looking at, what the reads are. And like I said, PG's gotten way better, throughout the course of the season, and so has Kawhi.
Just a quick follow-up for you, if you can. It seems like that was a pretty big change from last year, right? Like last year it was sort of, they were in more of a scoring role, and this is Paul kind of being dubbed as a more facilitator, right? Was that something you came into this year deciding to do?
Yeah, I just think, with your two primary scorers, they have to be able to make guys better. And, those two guys can get their shot off on anybody, anytime. And this year, both those guys have, passed 10% more when they got to the paint, where last year they got right to their pull-up jump shots. And now we just talked about attacking the rim and making your teammates better. And both of those guys, when they get into the paint this year, have, passed the ball 10% more when they got into the paint. So that's us growing as a team. That's, Kawhi and PG recognizing what we needed to do as a team and making their teammates better. So, very comfortable with those guys making plays.
Cool. Thanks, Ty. I like the quoting analytics off the top of your head right there. That was good. Thanks. 10%. That's good. 10% more. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Ramona. Next, we'll go to Miriam.
Hey, Ty. Hey, I wanted to ask, we got to see Pat Bev and Demarcus play a little bit yesterday. Wanted to see what your assessment of their contributions was and whether you think we might see them some more.
Yeah, you will see them some more. Game ones, I like to play a lot of guys to see who can play in the series. And I knew coming in after game 7, with one day in between and travel day with the altitude, that we had to play a lot of guys, in that first half. And everybody came in off the bench, played a big role and played great. So some tough decisions to be made, going into game 2 tomorrow. But I did like what I saw from Pat and Boogie.
And from Boogie, like, he hadn't played the whole first round. And you'd mentioned that he was itching to play. Like, how fired up was he for it? And he definitely left his mark.
Yeah, he was very fired up. Players want to play, and there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, every time we give him an opportunity to play in big games this season, he's produced. So we got to find more minutes for him. It's just hard to play, 2 centers off the bench, when you start small. So that was the tough part about it. But I did like what he brought some toughness, brought some physicality, and we're going to need that this series.
Thanks. Next, we'll go to Andrew.
Afternoon, Ty. PG yesterday, he called himself indecisive with the ball. This is kind of building off what you talked about to Ramona's question about knowing the right reads to do with the ball. He felt like he was indecisive. But when you have Rudy in there looming, I know he didn't have any points in the paint, but he did draw 4 fouls on the way to the rim. Like, what's the balance with a center like that, a shot blocker, of being aggressive and also just sort of feeling out the coverage and making the right read?
I just think, like I said, you got to be able to read it. But we talked about it, going into the series. Like, Rudy's the best rim protector in the league. I think he's the best pick and roll defender in the league. So we got to be smart. We come off, we can't get too deep and trying to, go through his chest. It's a different series than playing against Porzingis and Boban and those guys. So now we got to adjust our game to play against the Utah Jazz. And so when you come off and you're open, just shoot it. Like, it's nothing to think about. We're not trying to make extra moves, trying to get it. Just come off. He's in a drop, shoot the basketball and be confident in your shot. So that's the big adjustment we can make as far as that.
So is this series not so much get to the rim or die trying? That's what you said it was the first round. Not so much of that strategy?
Not right now. When we space Rudy out when we're small and we attack the small pick and rolls, now you get to the basket, it's easy to see the floor to make plays. But when Rudy's guarding you one-on-one, when they switch or they veer, I just think you got to just take the shot. Just take the shot, because you drive into the paint, they're fanning out, so there's no outlets to pass the basketball, and Rudy's pretty good at the rim. So just reading that situation. And like I said, we'll be better next game.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Next to Law.
Ty, we're gonna need another 50 Cent album to describe this series at some point, but we'll let you get to that later. I wanted to bring up the fact that physicality came up a lot last night, both with you and with everybody, the players that spoke. Normally, when you don't have a lot of forced turnovers, you point to not having fouls, not putting them on the line, stuff like that. But foul trouble was an issue, especially in the second half, and there still weren't a lot of turnovers that the team forced against Utah's offense. So how do you strike that balance of needing to pick up the kind of pressure that Utah kind of applied on you without getting guys eliminated because of fouls trouble, basically?
Right. And Law, to me, it's more physicality, I think, on the offensive side, like of setting screens, holding our screens, I think attacking those guys. Yeah, I thought they did a good job of just getting into us, getting into our bodies, being physical, denying the next pass, getting up in the backcourt. I mean, we had 2 or 3 turnovers trying to inbound the basketball, so you can't have that. So I just thought they tried to bring a physical game, try to be physical with us, a physical presence, and we didn't meet that offensively as far as attacking, as far as owning our space. So we got to do a better job with that. And like I said, we got to attack these guys, but we got to own our space and not go for all the whatever. Yeah, just be more physical.
Thanks. We'll go next to Rebecca.
Hey, Ty, and with this question, obviously, I'm not asking you to give away any of your adjustments, but in that first quarter, when the Jazz missed 20 shots in there, they got no points in the paint. And then in that second half, they were running downhill a lot more. After going through the film, what do you see in there that you can get back to defensively when you were so dominant in that stretch?
I think, Donovan just in the second half, I thought he just put his head down and just attacked us. They got some switches. He was able to get down, get to his right hand a lot. And we didn't have low man awareness, which was, we had the awareness, we wasn't there fast enough because you had Rudy Gobert and a dunker. So sometimes guys are, afraid to leave his body because the lob would be there. But we got to do a great job of just shrinking the floor. We're going to switch to take them out of their continuity sets. Then we got to be ready to be in shrinks and help the guy who's guarding the basketball and not just leave him on the island by himself.
Thanks. We have time for one more. Go ahead, Tomer.
Hey, Ty, good to see you. Again, apologies about last night. Donovan said after last night's game that he was kind of lazy in the first half, defending Luke especially, and he really just seemed to maybe just play more physical with him, coming off screens and stuff like that. Did you notice, I know you talked about it a bit earlier, but was it more of what you guys did, maybe not handling the physicality as well, or was it more of what they did, sort of eliminating him coming off screens and stuff like that?
No, I thought just, with Ingles trying to get into PG, I thought O'Neal trying to get into Kawhi. Like I said, we just came off a tough series. They try to wear us down as best as possible, and they did a good job of that. In the second half, I just felt like we didn't have a lot of pop, a lot of spunk. So we got to just own our space. We can't get caught up in the referees and the officials. We got to play through the contact, and we got to be physical on the offensive end. Get to our spots, running our sets, getting our catches on the elbow. We're supposed to get elbow catches, things like that. But I thought they did a good job of trying to disrupt that. So in game 2, we got to do a better job of owning our space.
And on the other end with Donovan, it looked like to start that third, he had a very Luka-esque kind of, takeover where he's hitting step back threes, and that opened up the drives for him. Is there anything, I guess, you could take away from that first series? I know they're different players, but in the way you defend those guys and how they play and open up their own game that you can apply to this series?
Like I said, just shrinking the floor more. I think showing some different looks, different coverages. He made some step back threes, like you said. But he's, they're different players. He's a little bit more slipperier. He can split pick and rolls. He can dribble around because of the speed. Once he gets into the paint, he's very explosive. So the low man has to be, a little earlier outside the launching pad. So they're 2 guys that have the ball in their hands and kind of control the game and make plays for themselves and their teammates. But they're different players because Dom's a little bit more shifty.
Thanks, Ty.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.